So then a few weeks ago, this woman calls me up and she's like, I got a recommendation from someone, apparently not someone that I know, but she got recommended, he recommended me that she come to a session. And she is this career woman and very strong and very dominant. And she's like, everything in my life is perfect, but I can't come from sex and penetration. And it's something that I want to work on. Can you help me with that? And I'm like, well, it's emotional. Can you help me with it? I'm like, yeah, in general, I think I can. And she's like, okay. So she booked an appointment. She has this like very aggressive, dominant, violent energy to her. But I still booked the session anyway, because it's my job. And I always have hope that I can help people whoever, because that's what I like to do in life, is to help people, especially around these kind of subjects, because I know it's very difficult to find good help around these subjects. And I know how much help I needed. So I feel like it's part of my gift to the world, or part of my, not destiny, but what I'm supposed to be doing here is talking and helping people around these subjects. So I did book the session with her. And then the strangest thing happened, which has never happened to me in my life. I basically forgot that I booked this session with her. And it was for 11 in the morning. And lately, I don't know if you've been experiencing this, but I have been sleeping a lot. And I've always liked to sleep. I'm a Scorpio. I'm a dreamer. I love dreaming. I get messages. I get stories. I get information. And I love sleeping. And recently, for the past few months, I've been sleeping till late. And I go to bed late. I work at night a lot of the times. And then, so I've been waking up at 11 recently. I completely forgot that I booked this session. And apparently this lady, she came to my building. She was texting me and calling me for half an hour. I was asleep. My phone was on sleep. I didn't hear anything. I got up at 11:30 and I'm like, oh my God, I booked a session with this girl, with this woman. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I thought we booked for 12. I kind of lied because I felt really bad about forgetting her. And she was pissed. She didn't answer anymore. And so when something like that happens to me, I do meditation. I go inside and I'm like, okay, what does this represent? What is this showing me? What is this here to teach me? What can I learn from this? What is my pain that's being reflected off this situation? Because first of all, I felt so guilty for forgetting the session and for not answering her phone, which makes sense because, we said at a certain time and then I kind of bailed on her. So the guilt was completely relevant. But I do emotional work, so I kind of feel the guilt and I go inside and memories and I try to focus on the sensation of the guilt in my body. And I'm like, oh my God, my whole life I have felt guilty for being alive because my parents got married because my mom got pregnant. So, it's my fault they got married. It's my fault they had my sisters. It's my fault they got divorced. Everything's my fault. So I've been guilty since the moment I was conceived. And not only that, my mom at one point, they got divorced, my parents, and she was like a single mom. And then I couldn't complain about anything because it's always I would complain why don't we have food at home? Or normal food and not frozen food all the time. And then they're like, oh, you have to say thank you that you even have food. Your mom works so hard for you. Your mom does this. Your mom does that. Oh, you're so ungrateful. And those are the lines of you're so ungrateful for complaining. So I felt guilty my whole life. That was the first thing that I saw. Then I realized I did not want to do this session with this woman. Her energy on the phone was toxic, unbearable even. The thought of sitting with her in the same room and getting attacked by her was just not something that I really wanted to do. I did not realize this when I talked to her initially on the phone. And also I felt guilty of saying something because I'm such a pleaser. So I'm not going to be like, listen, lady, I'm not going to meet with you. This isn't for you. I'm always trying to please people. And then I overstepped my own boundaries by doing that for other people who I don't even know. So God was trying to show me you're in a different place now. You need to take care of your own boundaries. The fact that other women are toxic, that's not your fault. It's not something that you have to fix. It's not something that you have to deal with, contain, or bear in a session. Like, it's not your fault they're toxic. You can't fix it. If you don't want that toxic energy around you, you have to say no. And instead of saying no, I said yes, and then I bailed on her, and then she had this like whole experience of being abandoned probably, and I don't like the fact that I'm responsible for that. I do take accountability, and I am very sorry. But I think, like a lot of the times in, the sexual sphere or arena, we allow our boundaries to be crossed because we feel guilty and not worthy, and we're pleasers. So something doesn't feel right and we still do it, and then we pay the price. And I know with men, a lot of the times they'll have sex with someone who they're attracted to, but they don't actually want to be with in a relationship. But she has a different idea, and then this whole like obsession can occur. And I think it's because sometimes we agree to do things that we don't actually want to do. And we do that from our guilt, from our low self-esteem, low self-worth, because that's how we were raised. You know, sometimes there are things that you do and you don't want to, but you still have to do them. All these weird things that we were taught as kids. And I'm just trying to like deprogram my subconscious to stop believing these weird things that I've believed my whole life, and to stop putting myself in situations where I feel uncomfortable and guilty if I say no. So the truth is, I didn't want to do the session with her. The truth is, she reflected how I was like her in the past. She reminded me of how toxic I used to be and how hateful I used to be, and the low, stressful, tensed, clenched vibration I used to live in. She reminded me of the woman I used to be. And although I have compassion for that woman and understanding, because I was her, I'm in such a different place in my life at the moment that I am not going to please these women anymore. And it starts with my mum, who I'm trying not to please anymore. And it's really strange because I'm 40 years old and I've done so much inner work, and I still find myself feeling very guilty with my mom and doing stuff that I don't want to do just to please her. And it's something that's so deep in my DNA, and I'm trying to clean it and heal it, but it's not that easy and it takes time. And most of all, I agreed to see how I was that woman in the past and be very compassionate to my past self, to the woman I used to be, because sometimes when I see like all my old behaviors, I feel so guilty and angry at myself. And this time I didn't feel angry at myself or guilty. I just felt compassion and grateful for not being that way anymore, and grateful for the lesson, and maybe a bit more forgiving to my dark side that I don't really like. No one likes their dark side, but I can be more forgiving and more compassionate to who I used to be, understand how I got to that place, and be grateful and thankful for the journey that I went on by myself, for myself, to change the destructive, narcissistic, manipulative, toxic patterns that I inherited from my mum. No one's to blame, because she probably inherited it from her mom, but I can take accountability. And I think that my generation, all of us who have decided or ended up on this awakening journey, we're doing a lot of karmatic healing on past generations and family karma. And it's not an easy job at all, but it's worth it, because I don't want to recreate the pain that I suffered in my childhood. So I'm doing my best. So yeah, started off as a toxic woman, ended up as someone who sees the toxicity but chooses love and compassion. And it hasn't been an easy journey. But I wanted to talk about this today because I feel like a lot of women are going through the same thing as I am, and also because sometimes things happen. Like, I didn't mean to bail on this woman. It just happened. I really did forget. And instead of feeling guilty about it, I actually used it to find more pain and to dig deeper in my inner psyche and emotional body. And eventually it helped me see things that maybe without this experience I wouldn't have seen. So we can use everything that happens to us for our growth, to expand and grow, or we can use it to bring us down, and that is our choice. And we need to be held accountable, with ourselves to do the work instead of to be brought down by things that happen to us in life. Use them to elevate us that's alchemy, basically. It's using these painful things that are happening to us and transforming them into something that's happening for us, for our growth, for our healing, for our journey. So that's me. If you liked what I talked about, you're more than welcome to like the video and subscribe, because I've been uploading these videos recently a lot. And I would love to hear from you in the comments and tell me your experience with toxic femininity. I'm sure you have some experience with it, because we all do, but I would love to hear your experience. And thank you for listening, and I'll see you soon.